Hey, out there in Variax land, 'tis I, Andrew, your host for this evening. In today's episode of how to use a Variax and a Helix, or whatever this ends up becoming, I'm going to demonstrate how the interaction between Helix and Variax works for per string tuning. And this is made specifically for my buddy Nicky T. What up, Nicky? Anyways, yeah, he was having a little trouble wrapping his head around this. Yep, it's okay, buddy. We've all been there. Anywho, I figured why not share it with the world, so we're gonna dive in here and take a look at this together. So grab some coffee and enjoy. Today's rig consists of a power cab 212, a Helix running firmware version 2.82, and a Shuriken Variax. Wow. Let's dive right in. Oh, too close. Alright, boys and girls, so let's take a look here. We've got this preset. Pan over to the input block and go to the second page. This Variax setting, just this one setting here, is actually a global setting. Even though it looks like it lives in the preset, this one in particular is a global setting. And that's whether you have it on global, meaning whatever you set on the following pages from here through the end applies no matter what preset you're on in the entire Helix, or per preset, in which case all of these settings from here over and subsequent pages will be saved within each preset. I'm not going to get into how you can control them per snapshot right now, but you can do that as well. So I typically leave this on per preset, and that's mainly why we're covering this here today. So let's just say, for instance, I want to pull up, I don't know, acoustic 5, and I want a custom tuning. So by default this is don't force, so we'll turn that to custom. Go to the third page and now set tuning to whatever you want. I don't know, we just, for the heck of it, I did an octave down on everything. And then you can further go and set string levels, etc. Works pretty much the same way, but we're focused on tuning here because this has been a point of contention and questions lately. So I'm recalling my settings per preset. I'm pulling up some model. I'm applying a custom tuning from the Helix. So that means Helix is sending a tuning command to the guitar. So as long as I don't touch anything on the guitar afterwards, when I load this preset, it will say go to this model and then apply this tuning, which is an octave down. We'll save that preset. Now, just for the sake of it, I'm going to go off this preset because the commands are only sent upon initial load of the preset. So when I go to load 3A, now it sent a command to the guitar, go to acoustic 5 and go to this tuning, and you'll hear it right here. Sounds horrible because it's an octave down, but right? So everybody got that? Now, what some people have had questions about or not quite understood is, okay, so I applied a custom tuning in this preset. If I go to another preset where I'm not applying a custom tuning from Helix, why doesn't it reset to standard? Well, the guitar, because the guitar has DSP in it that's running the modeling and tuning and everything, if you didn't tell it to change, it's not going to know what you want to do. So if all this is saying in here is saying, Helix, do not send any tuning command to the guitar. So the guitar says, just, I'm still an octave down because that's where you told me to be at. Now, let me just see if I can get this in view here. If I was to go to the tuning knob here and move it after the fact of that I loaded a preset, let's say half step down. Now I'm half step down. If I go to a whole step down, right? That's because the system works on the premise of last one wins. So whatever the last command is that the guitar received, whether it was from Helix or from the guitar onboard controls, that's what it's going to listen to. Just think of it as a dumb receiver where it just says, I'm going to do whatever someone tells me. It's just following your orders. So if one lieutenant gives it a command and says, hey, go do this, say, aye sir, and it goes and does that. Next different lieutenant comes in and says, no, private, I want you to do this. It says, aye sir, and then it goes and does that. First lieutenant comes back and says, hey, I thought I told you to do this. Well, so and so came by and told me this. I'm just following orders. So sorry, my military background is showing, but that's kind of the Barney style method I can explain it in. It just listens to whatever the last command was. So what I recommend is pick a workflow. If you're not using that many tunings, I'd say save them on board the guitar, turn the tuning knob when you need the tuning. When you don't, turn it back to standard and be done with it. The beauty of that too is that you can apply that tuning no matter what model you're in on the guitar. However, if you are using, you like having everything kind of living in Helix, aside from the actual construction of the model, like the body, pickup position, etc., you can keep your tunings living in here. And I think for me, it just, and a lot of other people, because you can visually see it, you're not tied to silkscreen, you can see what the tunings are if you have them applied. It just seems a bit easier to wrap your head around, and you can quickly look and see, make sure everything is set the way you want. So that being said, when I go back to this 3A, right, that had the custom tuning, a whole octave down across every string, right? When I go to 3B, what I want, if I wanted to go back to standard without touching anything on the guitar, all I got to do is turn this preset Variax tuning to custom, and by default all these should be on 0. Now what that will do is send a command to say go to no offsets, essentially, which in this case I'm physically tuned to standard, so that's standard tuning. So, and again, these offset numbers are relative to the physical tuning, so I'll get back to that in a second. Let's just save this, right? And the reason I'm saving it is because I've now simply changed this to custom. I didn't touch any of the strings. I only went over there to show you that it was in standard. Right? So when I go back to 3A, that's an octave down. And when I go to 3B, that is standard. Because Helix sent a command, that's what custom means, says send a command to the guitar to go to no offsets on every string. So now the guitar knew, hey, I need to go back, or I need, not back, it doesn't know where it came from, it just says I need to go to this position. Okay? Make sense? Again, once you load a preset, if you touch anything on the guitar, be it the pickup selector, the tuning knob, the model knob, any of the controls, that will now become what you are playing through and hearing. because Helix is only sending these commands when you hit the foot switch to load that preset. Let me zoom out a bit just for everyone's edification. So when I hit the preset, that's when the commands are sent to the guitar. Excuse my ugly feet, but when I step on that, that's when it gets the commands for that octave down. And I'm on an acoustic. So let's say now I turn the guitar knob to resonator, and now I'm in the reso bank, and I even flicked the pickup selector to a new position, which is a totally different model, and I turn the tuning knob on the guitar to standard. Now I'm here again, even though the custom tuning was set an octave down. The guitar doesn't know that until I go ahead and reload that preset, which I can do by just stepping on the same one again. And now it's going to go back to everything that I had saved with the preset. So, got that? Now, just to cover that little tidbit that I mentioned earlier where all of these offsets, let me zoom in again so you guys can see. Let's let it focus for a second. Okay, all these offset numbers are relative to what my physical tuning is. Hey, you can kind of see the reflection in the screen of the guitar. So anyway, if I take this E, and just for everyone's benefit, if I tune that down to D, right? So, right? Now, see this string 6, 0, E? Remember, the commands are only sent when I reload the preset. So if I reload this preset, that's still D because it says 0 right there. Even though the letter next to it says E, it's not telling the guitar, hey, go to E. It's saying, no, don't apply any offset. So if I go to -1, instead of E flat, that's going to be D flat. You don't have to be a music theory buff to get that one. Alright, now if I go 2 semitones down, instead of D, that's going to be C. So I go 1 semitone down, D flat, no semitones, I'm on D. If I wanted to actually go back to E, if I was physically in drop D, then I would go up 2 semitones. Got it? Alrighty then. That's all for today, folks. Rock on.